Please be advised that Little Miss Recap contains adult language. Hi everyone, Amy here. I just wanted to take a minute and just let you know this is a really intense documentary that we talked about. This is a very difficult conversation that Amanda and I had. I want you to be aware of the trigger warnings for this episode. There's sexual assault, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, suicidality, religious trauma, all of those things. If you are not in the headspace to listen to this today, please skip it. If you do listen, I hope that you feel we did a responsible job in covering this documentary. As always, thank you for listening. Hi everyone, welcome to Little Miss Recap, the podcast where we can't get enough of these weird fucking fundamentalist religion docs that are bringing down these churches. I love it. I'm here for it.
I'm here for anything that brings down these people. This is not fun and funny
No.
like Mother
No.
God and Whatchawaji, Twin Flames situation. This is actually fucking heartbreaking, and I did not cry because, I have a cold dead heart. But I completely understand why people would cry.
I cried for many reasons. I cried, through episode 1 and 2 at the horrors of it.
Yeah.
And I cried real hard in episode 4 when the girls were reading their statements.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this particularly bothers me because I have girls, young girls, teen girls.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
when Ruthie was giving her speech and talking about, and they were showing her as a 13-year-old, I was sobbing.
Yeah.
And
I know.
I have like, guys, the way we're going to do this is Amanda covered episodes 1 and 2. I did 3 and 4. So when we get to my stuff, I have I just pulled out a line or two from each speech that really affected me. And
Okay,
it was
good.
I was just sobbing. It was bad. Mm-hmm.
The one, and we'll obviously get into it, the one that really got me was Kathy getting the teddy bear.
Yeah. Total
And
fucking grooming.
Total grooming, and how happy she was to just get a teddy bear. And then, oh, by the way, so gross. These men are so disgusting.
Yep. I know. I agree. All right. So I'm Amy Archer. I'm here with Amanda Lipnack-Radell. Happy Hanukkah, Amanda.
Thank you, Amy. Happy Hanukkah, friends. Last night I made 10 pounds of latkes.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
And this house smelled like fried stuff with fried stuff and fried stuff. Like,
it's a lot, and it sounds delicious.
Yes, it is delicious. They will be delicious tonight at our party. Kid came down and he's like, it smells like fried potatoes in here. Like, that smell after a while gets real gross. So does raw potato after a while.
Yeah.
But Todd and I have a good system. I make the mix and then he just fries and I just keep refilling his bowl.
Good.
He's got like two pans going and yeah, we're
good.
done.
Good.
Yeah,
so we're here to talk about something real dark today, guys. And I put trigger warnings at the beginning, but again, I'm cautioning. This is really deep, intense sexual abuse, all that stuff, trigger warning. So if any of that stuff, is more than you can handle, we completely understand. Go listen to Mother God. It's much more uplifting.
Have a good laugh at the ridiculousness of Father Multiverse. Yeah, there's nothing happy. Well, there's a good ending, not a happy ending. There's a good ending.
There's a good ending, and I am a sucker for a story of the average Joe taking down the behemoth. Like, I love it,
and women taking their power back.
Yep, and we have that here. So,
by the way, did you see our queen? She has a TikTok. Our queen Janelle just has a mug.
I saw it.
It says, "Save your own damn self" or "Rescue your own damn self."
Love
Get
it,
girl.
love it. I will say this: for as dark as this gets, guys, it is as light at the end. Like, if you haven't watched it, I suggest watching it because it will restore your faith in the justice system. That's for sure.
It will.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yes.
A little bit. Yeah, I absolutely recommend watching it. If not that sexual abuse doesn't trigger anybody. I mean, I don't have it in my past and it upsets me. But if this is a part of your story and you can't listen to other stories about it, don't do this to yourself. But it's an excellent documentary. Like you said to me before, it probably could have been 3 episodes, not 4.
Yeah, 100%.
That's okay. That's okay. We can live with that.
I I am like, this is a trend I'm noticing. I need to get into the editing room and help these people because I think everybody feels like a documentary needs to be 4 episodes, 5
And it doesn't.
episodes. It doesn't. A lot of times it only needs to be 2 or a movie, you
Mhm.
know?
But even sometimes the movies, like, I'm like, it could be 120 minutes. No, it could be an hour and 20 minutes and be like, "That's cool." But they seem
Mhm.
to just need to stretch it out,
Mhm. Mhm.
but that's
Mhm.
okay. If this is what it took to tell all of these young women's stories, I'm fine.
Yeah, and I could see why the director made the choice in retrospect because as I said to you, like, some of it gets repetitive, but, like,
Mhm.
how do you give one person
Right.
a platform for a story and not give the other for like, you know what I mean? I could see how it would be impossible to make that decision of what to cut from this.
Right. Ruthie's story is just as important as Amanda Householder's story.
Correct. Yeah.
And I wouldn't have and Kathy's story. I wouldn't have
Mhm.
wanted any of them to be shortened. By the way, did you notice how many people in this are named Amanda?
There's quite a few Amandas in
There's a
this.
lot of Amandas, which is
Mhm.
it's you have a very common name.
Yes, I do.
Amanda for people our age is not a common name. Go like
Oh,
15
okay.
years younger than
Okay.
me,
Yeah.
really popular like in the mid 80s
Yeah,
as a
yeah, yeah.
name for babies,
Mhm.
but no, it was not a popular name, which is
Okay.
in part why my parents chose it
Right, right.
because it was like a real name but not super popular.
My parents wanted to name me Jamie,
I love that.
which I would have really liked. I was always into these unisex names, like, I always
Same.
liked that. However, Jenny, my rotten sister,
Mhm.
overrode them and said, "I want her to be named Amy." Thanks a lot, Jenny.
Thanks, Jenny. The
Mhm.
fact that you 2 are the most Gen X names in the world, Jennifer and Amy, like, it doesn't get more Gen X than that. I am actually named after Katharine Hepburn.
Oh, okay.
She was in a movie called Adam's Rib with
Mhm.
Spencer Tracy,
Mhm.
and she played a lawyer,
Mhm.
and, when my mom was pregnant, my parents went to the movies a lot because, like, they had no air
That's what you
conditioning and my
do.
mom was hot.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so they went to see Adam's Rib, and they left the theater, and my dad said, "I like the name Amanda. What
Mhm.
about that for the baby?" If it's a girl. If it's a boy, I would have been Jordan. Um, and then which really upset my Jewish grandmother because that's a river in Palestine. It's like, "Oh my god. I'm
Okay.
glad I'm not
Yeah.
dealing with any of that right now."
Yeah.
But, my mother wanted to name me Johanna. Not Joanna, Johanna. I'm real glad I got Amanda.
My sister has a friend named Johanna,
Okay.
which is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to name Penelope Elizabeth because I
Mm.
was obsessed with Elizabeth Taylor. Of
Okay.
course I was. Of course I
Sure.
was.
Of course you were.
Yes, and all the movies that she did with Richard Burton, I was
Mhm.
obsessed with that whole thing. I went down a real rabbit hole in my, like, early 20s.
Okay.
And, I just Timmy didn't like it. He did not like it, and then we
Mm.
met my
Okay.
friend Amanda, who had a cat named Penelope, and I was like, "Oh my god, I love that name so much."
I like the name Penelope a lot.
Mhm, mhm, yeah, so that's how we got our
Absolutely.
names.
Okay.
Okay, anyway, there's a
Okay.
lot of Amandas, Kathys, like Gen X names in this
Yeah.
documentary.
For
Mhm.
sure, for sure. Yeah, it's just really interesting when I always notice when there's Amandas on TV because again, it's so
Now, as always, Amanda, you are gonna have to go first and really lead me through the religious part because you know I'm
okay.
bad with this kinda stuff.
I will do my best.
I can't tell one from the other. Allow me another minute to make a quick announcement. If you
Sure.
haven't seen this already, our Little Miss Recap Extra feed has changed. So now we offer 3 tiers. So the first one is a little bit culty, and that is
Mhm.
where you're going to get our 90-day content for $5 a month. The next one is a little bit culty, where you're going to get Sister Wives, 90-day, and any other cult docs and stuff like that that we do. You know, just fun culty stuff.
Mhm.
And then we have that's $8, and then the $12 tier is ladies of a certain age,
Right.
where you get a little Gen X love in there.
We'll
So,
Gen X it up or you and
so
Jenny or
yep,
Steph, whatever.
yep.
Oh,
So if you want to support the show, that's a great way to do it. If you cannot support the show, leaving
all
a
good.
5-star review is just as valuable.
Yep, absolutely. Helps people
Absolutely.
find us.
Yep. All right, Amanda, we are talking Let Us Pray, Ministry of Scandals, right? Did I say that
Yes.
right?
Yes.
2023, and we watched it on Max.
Yes, it's on
Yes.
Max.
Yes. Okay. All right. Take us
I
there,
wonder
girl.
if it's also on Discovery Plus if you have it. I don't know.
It might be.
It
It felt
probably
like it was
is.
somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't have Discovery Plus anymore, just
Mhm.
Max. Anyway,
Yeah, because
so
why would you have it? Because they took away the biggest perk that they had.
exactly.
Stupid.
Ugh, so
Okay.
annoying. Anyway, so we open in Gaylord, Michigan, which I didn't even look up where it was. I wonder if it's near where a sad man from Michigan lives. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
And we meet this amazing, amazing woman named Ruthie Heiler.
Mhm.
Love her, love her. And she's, it kind of just does like a cold open of like she's standing in front of this house and she's like, this is where my life, this house was a house of horrors for me, and this is where my life changed forever.
Mhm.
And it's Aaron Weiland's house. And he was a teacher at her school, Grace Christian Baptist School. And
Mm.
when she met him, she was 12. And she says evil lived there. That's how she describes this house.
Mhm.
I think I had a friend who was part of the IFB when I was in like middle school, because I went to a private school, so our district like was a different school district than the one we lived in, but they did bus us there. But it bused to like 3 or 4 different schools, private
Mhm.
schools,
Mhm.
one of which was a Christian school, like a creepy Christian school that
Okay.
like, and I had a friend named Chastity,
Oh God.
and like her sisters were like Grace and Hope, like it was the whole thing.
Yeah.
But she wore like long skirts and dresses all like I now wonder, and I tried to see if the school is even still there. I don't think it is. Like
Mhm.
I was on Google
Mm.
Maps trying to remember like my school bus route to see if I could figure out.
It sounds like you may have been
Yeah,
witness to this.
it
Yeah.
might have been. So this we're talking about the IFB, which is the Independent Fundamentalist Baptist Church. I looked up their website. There's only like 82 of those churches left, at least
Oh,
that are signed
really?
onto their website.
Okay. Okay.
So who knows? But the way Ruthie describes this, and we get a lot of people interspersing here. And the two
Mhm.
big that we get interspersing, episode 1 is mostly about Ruthie's story, but we also get a lot from this woman, Kathy Durbin.
Mhm.
Episode 2 is a lot of her story. But we're talking about what life is like in the IFB. And it's not too dissimilar from the IBLP, the Bill Gothard,
The Duggars.
Class, Duggars, the whole
Mhm.
9 yards. You're at everything is around church. It's camp, it's church, it's school, it's after school activities, it's your social life. Everything is church. The Ruthie says you're at church 6 out of 7 days a week in some capacity. There's no TV. This is footloose. No TV, no movies, no
It's
dancing.
Footloose.
Like there
Yeah.
there's
Is
no
Kevin
there's no
Bacon
joy.
there? Is Kevin Bacon there?
I hope so, and I hope he could give me another piggyback ride.
Kevin Bacon, you guys need to follow him on Instagram with
Oh, he's
Kira
hilarious.
Sedgwick. They do the little songs to the goats. I can't
Yeah.
with those two. I want to
They're
live that
s
life.
they're
Anyway.
so great. They're so great,
Mhm.
and unfortunately, they lost, like, most of their money. Thank you, Bernie Madoff.
Yes, they did, but they're
Yeah,
okay.
they're okay,
Mhm. They're
and
living on love.
they're living on love, and Kevin Bacon and Michael Bacon have a band called the Bacon Brothers,
Yes, they do.
and Michael Bacon put out a 45 with a song about my nursery school,
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Charlestown Play School.
Okay.
Gonna have a lot of fun, gonna roll in the grass, I'm gonna run in the sun. Got a big old tire swinging from an oak
Oh.
tree, and there's lots of little people gonna be friends with me. So
Okay.
cute. Okay,
All right.
anyway, so Ruthie's Ruthie lived in a what sounded like a terrible house. She had a couple sisters.
Mhm.
Her father was awful. Her father was beating the hell out of all of them. Eventually,
Mhm.
her mother, instead of going to the church leaders, which is what you're supposed to do in this world, you're never supposed to go
Yeah.
to the police.
Right.
You go to your pastor, he'll fix it. She goes to the police because her husband is beating the shit out of her. He
Which
gets
she should.
arrested, which he
Yes.
should. Oh, she did the right thing 100%. And so he
Because
gets
Amanda, what would the church have done about this?
nothing. They would
They
have
would
been
have
like,
encouraged her to stay. They would have put the shame on her.
she
That's the
she just needs to be
problem.
a better wife.
Mhm.
Then I'm
Yep.
sure that would have been the answer. Be a
Yep.
better wife, cook more meals, a la, Ethan Plath, and
Yep.
everything will be fine.
Yep.
But her mother did the right thing, went to the police, and he gets arrested. So she winds up being a single mother of 3 children, and they got a ton of backlash in the church for her
Yes.
doing this.
Yes.
And so it what it one thing that seemed to be a theme here is in the IFB, like young women, and by young women, I'm saying 12, 13, 14, they seem to get like assigned to families to become their babysitter.
Yes, that's a big thing. Mhm.
And that's how a lot of this abuse happens with the babysitter. And that's what happened to Ruthie. Aaron Weiland was her Bible teacher, and he was was the
That's
principal.
another thing. That's another thing. You see a lot of this with these youth pastors. Guys, this is not going to be pretty. You're not going to like my opinions about religion when we get to the end of this. And let me just be clear. If I were a true Christian, this would enrage me. Because true Christians do not act like this.
No.
I just want to be very clear. This is corrupted religion here.
Yeah, no sane, healthy person is going to say this is okay. Right. No matter what you believe in.
Yes, absolutely. So I want to make clear, when we're coming for these people, it's these weirdos.
It's not religion as a whole. It's these people.
Yes.
And so Aaron is the Bible teacher, whatever. Like, all of these people are either the Bible teacher, the principal, the van preacher.
None of them are probably licensed. Yeah. None of them have had... The problem that I have with the way that we license teachers in this state, especially because in my own community, we've had several teachers who were caught inappropriately sexting students. A background check is not going to pick that up.
No.
And we rely so heavily on the background check. And I don't know if there is a way that you can pick it up ahead of time. It's one of those things that you can't predict, but you have to catch it by monitoring.
Right. And how do you monitor and what, I mean, until these women grew up and went after these men, nothing would have happened.
No.
I mean, Aaron Weiland did wind up getting busted early on, but we'll get to
it. I'm sorry.
We'll get to it. That's okay. So Ruthie becomes Aaron Weiland's family's babysitter. He really takes her under his wing, and she at first really loves it because he was kind to her. She had no father figure. She feels in retrospect he absolutely preyed upon her because it was 100%. A single mother, 3 girls. He groomed the shit out of her, and it all started with one time he's on the computer and she's standing behind him and he's trying to show her something, and he reaches behind her and pulls her into the chair and starts rubbing her back. And she's like, the fuck is happening here? This is... Yep. And the problem is all these girls have no sex education. So they don't know what's happening to them. They just know they don't like it.
They don't know what's happening to them. They're taught that they should not speak out.
Right.
And a lot of them are from bad situations. And they're afraid, if I tell mom, this is going to get worse.
Right. Exactly. Ruthie saw how much her mother was shunned in the church for reporting her father. She wasn't going to make it worse for her family.
No.
And... they say that there's 8 million people in the IFB.
That's a lot still.
That's a lot of people. I mean, that's the number they gave.
Yeah. Wow.
And and they all have these things like Grace Baptist Church, Hope Baptist Church. It now makes me want to drive past every Baptist church on the planet and be like, what's happening here?
So Southern
Baptists are not this. This is not the Southern Baptist that we think about. Or I was just going to say, non-Southern Baptist.
I'm religion dumb. Okay?
Right.
I was raised Roman Catholic, so I did not know much about religion. My question is, excuse me, how many offshoots of the Baptist Church are there? Do we know? Are there a ton? Or are there only a few and this is one of the main ones? Do we know that?
I don't know that. I know that there's Baptist churches, and then there's the Southern Baptist Convention. That's different. That's much more conservative.
Okay.
Southern. I mean, it's a lot of what you think about Southern religion is the Southern Baptist Church. Bill Clinton was a Southern Baptist. That's how he grew up. That's what it was. But then there's Baptists all over the world. This is an offshoot of that. In a way, the IBLP was also an offshoot of Baptist churches.
Remind me what the IBLP stood for. I forget. Do you remember?
Oh, what does it stand for? Why don't I remember? We're going to look it up. I got it right here. IBLP. Institute of Basic Life Principles.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, how about while I talk about this, you Google Baptist Church offshoots while I continue on.
Okay.
So the Bible is taken literally, and it is the King James Bible. And they talk about why that's important, that it's specifically the King James Bible, because the King James Bible is really kind of difficult to understand. It's very Shakespearean and 16th, 17th century language-y. So
and Eric, the podcaster, brings up a good point. He's without the guidance of a pastor,
you can't understand it all.
You can't understand it. That's why you need an English degree, because I could get in there and fucking understand it.
You and I could, because
the one time the one time
this English degree is
English degree will pay off is I can interpret the fuck out of an inaccessible text. Oh, I will be marked safe from
student loans worth it.
Yep,
every
worth
penny,
it.
worth it.
6-figure student loans, totally worth it.
Oh, okay, so and we meet like a bunch of people in the beginning of the episode. Like I was trying to write down everyone's names, but like at first you don't know why all of these people matter, but eventually you get to all their stories.
Right.
So we meet Rachel Peach and April Avila. We meet Kathy Durbin. We meet Amanda Householder. We meet another woman named Amanda Clydens. Just all these young women, and we'll get to all their stories. So, you know, and they show like clips of pastors doing terrible things. Like there's this pastor, Michael Easter, which is an interesting name for a pastor.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And like, he's literally from the pulpit telling women to shut up. Like literally.
The things that these people say from the pulpit, holy shit.
It is nuts.
By the way, I can't find a simple here's the list of Baptist churches. It's taking me down a real bizarre rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So
that's okay. So
yeah, I can't really find anything. Christianity. Okay. Christianity taxonomically can be divided in 6 groups. Church of the East, it's not,
it's too much. We're not going to worry
about it. It's too much. I mean, we could have a whole podcast.
There's a lot of Baptists out there. These are the real bad Baptists.
Hey everyone, stay tuned. Little Miss Recap will be right back after these words.
We understand. So Aaron starts grooming Ruthie, touching her. Eventually, it of course turns into more.
Yeah.
These kids are taught 100% adults are always right. Like it's written in the rules of this church. Adults are always right, even when they're wrong. Like that's literally written down. So what are you supposed to do if you're a little kid? Like,
I know. Here, I have some of them, Amanda, because I can't not give people an answer.
I understand. Go for it.
Southern Baptists, Cooperative Baptists, Progressional National Baptists, Alliance of Baptists, the American Baptist Church. Does this sound right to you?
Yeah. And there should be like Southern Baptist Convention, maybe?
Yep. I saw Southern Baptist Convention, Baptist General Convention of Texas.
Oh, good.
So there's a lot.
There's a lot of offshoots. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. You know, I mean, you look at like the Protestant umbrella and it is so many different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like Catholics and everybody else.
Yeah.
Anywho. So then we go through the umbrella of authority. We have another umbrella, Amy.
Umbrella sighting.
And it's the same as the IBLP. It's, God, your pastor, men, women, children. And really in this world, your pastor is your access to God.
It's such a clear and obvious way for men to control women.
Mm-hmm. That's all this is. And they would like show like services and the women are in the audience like, yeah, yep.
Oh my God. Yeah. Let's talk about that for a minute. I talk about this when I talk about the Platts because Mama Plath enrages me the most because she just has internalized all this misogyny.
Yeah.
And she believes it and she espouses it and she's turning Lydia and the brood. Suddenly she's had change of heart because it doesn't benefit her anymore.
Right. And she wants to bang David Duke. But like,
to me, the women who I don't blame them.
No, they're indoctrinated.
They think I'm being a good wife. I'm being a good daughter. It's so upsetting to me. So upsetting to me.
It's so upsetting to me too. And the fact that like, you get that you're raised in it. And so these women are like, yeah, this is what you do. This is what you do. Mm-hmm. And particularly if you're one of the lucky ones who hadn't been at least sexually abused, all these people are emotionally and physically abused. But if you hadn't been sexually abused, you might be like, okay, yeah, this is the world we live in. Men make all the choices. Great, great, great. I don't understand how you then have daughters and go, this is the world I want for them.
I don't understand it either. I really don't. I just, thank God I don't come from that mindset. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I really struggled with this, not to get too political. I really don't mean to, but I really struggled with this when women vote against other women's rights.
Agreed.
It's like, why are you voting? Like, let's just talk about the elephant in the room here, like abortion, right? Yeah. Women's rights. If you don't want an abortion, don't get one.
It's real easy.
But don't tell me that you think it's okay if a 12-year-old girl is raped that she has to carry her rapist baby.
Yeah, but they
Like, that
believe
is insane to me.
it's insane to
I
me
don't
too.
understand it. I just
It's
okay.
so awful. So the pastor at Ruthie's church is a man named John Jenkins. He'd been there for 33 years.
He's a piece of shit.
He's a piece of shit.
I'm just gonna say that about every one of them.
All of these men are pieces of shit. You know who's not a piece of shit? Ruthie's husband. We don't hear a lot from him, but that man is so supportive and sweet.
When we get to the court part of this, I have highlighted there are certain men who deserve a shout out that they are decent human beings.
And her husband is one.
Her husband is one of
Her
them.
husband is great. How supportive and wonderful he was. So it turns out Aaron Weiland had been caught with another student before Ruthie.
Yep.
Also, you know how you get an earworm? You know what my earworm is right now?
Oh,
Fucking
no,
Mariah Plath circus. Okay, anyway.
That happened to me
awful.
yesterday.
Oh, it's so in my head. So it's because you played it on Hey Bunky. That's why.
I did.
It's your fault. So Weiland gets caught. John Jenkins is the pastor. He should have reported it. John Jenkins is a mandated reporter. Like, let's talk about that as well. Like, if you are a minister, a teacher,
any form of authority. I'm a mandated reporter when I was teaching.
Yeah.
Any form of authority over underage children or children in general, you are a mandatory reporter.
Exactly. I taught sex ed at my church, the Unitarian Church. I had to go through a training that's like, you are now a mandated reporter.
Yeah.
If these things happen, you have to do something about it. He of course did nothing. And instead, he helped orchestrate Aaron Weiland moving to Washington State to another congregation. This is the same shit the Catholic Church did.
Yes, we did.
This is
and I say we because I grew up Catholic, but I'm not part of the church anymore.
No.
That watch Spotlight, guys.
Yeah, I was just gonna say this is Spotlight all over, which Spotlight is one of the best movies ever made.
Yep.
Certainly one of the best movies ever made about a real life thing. It's such a good movie.
Okay, because the Titanic was the best movie ever made. So
so in the summer,
okay, whatever.
Okay. You know, I'm not even.
It is the greatest piece aside from the fight between Cody and Janelle. The Titanic's the greatest story ever committed to film.
And Jackie Overton is a misunderstood historical figure. Yeah. Okay. So summer of 2005, Weiland reaches out to Ruthie's mom and says, my wife just had another baby. Things are crazy here.
And he's in Washington at this point, you said,
right? And she's still in Michigan.
Yep.
Ruthie was such a great babysitter. Would you mind sending her out here for the summer to babysit?
Oh my God. And imagine you're Ruthie, what you're thinking at this moment.
Right. Like, fuck, I don't want to go back there.
Right. Like, please don't send me, but you can't tell your mother.
Right. Because you'll get in trouble. Everyone will get in trouble.
Right. I'm sure he groomed her to be afraid to tell her mother.
Well, I'm sure. And imagine also afterwards being Ruthie's mother and knowing that you sent your daughter to this.
Well, her mother talks about that.
Yeah.
And, right. It's her mother who says, I feel like I sent my daughter to the wolves.
Yeah. I love her mother too.
I know.
Her mother got out of the cult too.
I can't even imagine what that woman feels today. I know. My heart breaks for her.
And he picks her up at the airport and gets in the car and puts his hand right on her leg.
Immediately starts
abusing her. And
I want to cut his fucking dick off. Can we just talk about it?
Sure. Okay. And he's just such a smarmy, gross looking
All
man.
of these men are fucking gross. You see them in we'll get to it. Go on.
Okay. So he's all over her all the time. And eventually he raped her in their basement. Mm-hmm. And she talks about looking at a painting, trying to dissociate while this is happening.
That's very common.
It's very common. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. You talk to a lot of women who are like, I just left my body.
Yep.
I got as far away from myself as I could in that moment. And she was 14 years old.
Jesus Christ.
She didn't even know what rape was. But that's what was happening to her.
Right.
And when she went home, he told her to tell no one. He takes her to the airport and is like, don't tell anybody about us. And she missed her period and had a lot of cramping, knew something was wrong in her body. Mm-hmm. She says she thinks she might have had a miscarriage, something was up, but she never had medical care for whatever was happening to her. She talks about how little girls are sexualized from an early age. There's, of course, no sex ed. It's all purity.
We hear the preacher screaming, you disgusting women who are taunting all of us men with your short skirts. And you're like...
Right. Oh, yeah. The fact that everything is blamed on women. Everything that a man does that's bad is blamed on women.
Yeah, it's real
100%.
bad.
It's so gross. They talk about little girls being sexualized. Women are responsible for men's thoughts and how they act.
Of course
100%.
they are. Yeah.
They say that babies were spanked for being immodest.
Yeah, babies.
Babies. What?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. And one teaching also is that getting raped means that you did not do your job to protect men.
This is a lot for me on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
I want to fly into a rage.
I feel like I should be putting some something a little more interesting in my cup of coffee than cream.
Oh, God.
So Ruthie's sister tells her mom that Ruthie should not have gone to Washington. Like, Aaron had also tried to mess with
Aaron,
her
the
sister.
sister.
No,
Aaron tried to
the
mess
bad
with
guy.
the sister. Sorry.
Sister.
Yeah.
And so her mom asked her about it. Asked Ruthie. She denies it, but she eventually tells her mom what happened. And this mother has so much guilt that this happened.
And she shouldn't. She shouldn't. She's she is as much of a victim as everybody else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
she would never, I find it hard. No mother would ever feed their daughters into this. Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, there's a lot of women in the audience going, woohoo, yeah, women are sluts.
Right, yeah.
But I can't imagine a mother would knowingly ever put her daughter in this position. And I feel really heartbroken.
They're also brainwashed and they're, it's awful. Yeah. So her mother goes to Pastor Jenkins and he says he wasn't.
Mistake A.
Says he wasn't surprised. That was his response. Yeah. I'm not surprised.
Aaron? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. And he kept blowing off the mom about going to the police. And eventually the mom took Ruthie. Her mom took her to the police. And that's when she says she got sex ed explained to her because she had to say what happened to her. And they explained to her what happened to her. She didn't even really understand it.
She didn't know.
So eventually they realized that the Washington case is a lot bigger because that's where she was actually raped. He did not rape her until Washington, but he absolutely was handsy with her in Michigan.
He sexually assaulted her in Michigan, but he raped her in Washington. Her.
And so that's where they decided to pursue the case. The Michigan police called the Washington police and they do the whole that part went right. They said they were going to do this. He got arrested for 4 counts of having sex with a minor.
I'm going to be very honest with you about something, and this is real cynical.
Yeah.
I was surprised that they took it as seriously as they did.
I was too.
Yeah.
I was too. He was arrested for 4 counts of sex with a minor. He was sentenced to 5 years and he got out in 2 years and 10 months for good behavior.
That's another thing. I'm going to be going off about these sentence lengths. 2 years.
2 years for raping a 14-year-old child.
Yeah.
Child.
Ugh.
So
repeatedly.
Eventually we meet this journalist whose name is not in front of me. Somewhere we'll find her name. And they wind up connecting on Facebook. And she wrote about one church after she got contacted. And after she wrote a story about one church, she then started getting contacted by a lot of women who had similar stories. This was at the Star Ledger in Texas.
Can I say this is my dream job?
Oh, you just have to do this for cults, and then I get to be the deprogrammer.
Yes.
And we podcast about it all day, and this is how we make our money.
I would love to do investigative journalism and expose motherfuckers like this. That would be my dream.
Oh my God, that'd be so awesome. And so eventually she gets this whole series greenlit by a very much like Spotlight. And she said, and she describes it basically. She's like, I had those crazy murder boards where she had the picture of the men and the girls and the the string and the whole thing. She was doing this. And what it became really clear very quickly is all these churches cover up for each other.
Yep.
They do. And this was actually a phrase said, the pedophile shuffle.
Yeah.
The pedophile shuffle. How is
Yep.
So eventually this journalist uncovers 412 allegations in 160 IFB churches across the country.
Wow.
The survivors all create this Facebook group to support each other. And that's where most of these women connected. Because there's the group in Michigan and then there's also a group in California. And these women have all become very close and are absolutely supporting each other beautifully.
And this is again, and I don't, I say this quite a bit about social media. As much as we hate it, this is where it works.
Absolutely.
Because these women were able to find each other, connect with each other, and bring these fuckers down.
Yep, absolutely. One of these women could not have done all of this. They needed a united voice.
Yes. Yep.
And they needed the support of other people who understood.
100%.
So then we meet Kathy Durbin. I love her too. She grew up in Southern California, and she said, like, she goes to her house, and it is real rundown and sad looking. Her childhood home. And she's like, there was a lot of violence in this house. And when her abuse came out, her mother, of course, punished her.
Her mother sounds awful.
Her mother sounds fucking awful. Yeah. She says, looking at her house, she says, there are no good memories there. None. No good memories of her childhood. She's a little older
than Ruthie. I want to say she's closer to our age, right?
Yeah, I think she's around our age. Yeah. Ruthie is probably 15 years younger than us.
Yeah, I think Ruthie, she's like 35.
Yeah, because she was abused in summer of 2005, and she was 14.
Oh, God, you're going to make me do math?
So 10 years would make it 90.
18 years, right? 18 years ago.
10 years back would be 95, 91. She was born the year I graduated from high school.
Okay, let me get a calculator.
Oh, God.
Okay, here we go. So I'm going to punch
in social science majors without tell us your two humanities majors without telling us your two humanities majors.
I'm going to do the Howard Stern version of math. Ready? Okay. So I'm going to punch in 2023.
Okay.
But I'm going to subtract from that the year she was born, which would be 1991, right? We are left with 32.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. All right.
So Kathy went to Faith Baptist Church, and there the pastor was Bruce Goddard. So not Bill Gothard, Bruce Goddard.
Goddard, yes.
Similar names.
And this was in California, correct?
Yes, Southern California. It's about an hour north of San Diego. It kind of looks like in that middle part of California where things aren't great.
Yeah.
And at 15, she was very active in the youth group, and that's where she came into contact with Paul Fox. Did you know she only ever refers to him by first and last name?
Yeah, and isn't his name spelled like F-A-U-X or something?
No, I think it's F-O-X.
Is it F-O-X? Oh, okay.
Yeah, but he had like a weird first name. Like Paul is actually his middle name. When he was sentenced,
he's a fucking douchebag. I'm just gonna
he's
throw that
awful.
out there.
Paul Fox. He was the assistant pastor and the bus leader. And he was also the Christian school headmaster.
Yeah, of course he was.
Right. So we jump back between Kathy and Ruthie a lot. We're back at Ruthie's house, Ruthie's mom's house, and her case is being reopened in Michigan.
Yeah,
and she
which
was asked,
huge.
Yeah, it's huge. She asked, because there's statute of limitation issues here too, but laws are starting to change.
Thank God.
Thank God. I mean, forever there's not been a statute of limitation on murder.
Right. But there is one on sexual assault and rape, which is
and there should
not be.
Because some of these memories don't come up for a very long time.
And sometimes it takes women decades to get the courage. Look at Nanette or whatever her name is later. Yes. Nanette. Yes. It takes decades for them to come out and say something.
Be able to say this. Yeah. So they asked if she wanted to press charges. Her mom talks about how much guilt she has. Weiland was arrested again in 2019, released on bond, and he returned to Washington. And Ruthie says she's planning to testify despite how absolutely terrified she is. Back at Kathy. She wasn't close to her parents, but looked up to the Fox family for love and support. He groomed the shit out of her.
Oh my God, real bad.
So awful. He hugged her one day and she said it felt good and comforting and it felt like a dad. And she told
this girl so desperately wanted a father's love.
Yes. A parent. She just wanted love. Like, oh God, I want to like hug Kathy.
I know, me too.
And so she told him about this situation at camp where a girl who was like a teen, which she thought was odd, had this teddy bear that she just like hugged and hugged. I'm sure this girl was abused as well, which is why she was so attached to her teddy bear. And she said seeing this bear was a knife to her heart because she never had that with her own dad. And she knew she never would. And so she tells Fox that. And then one day he's driving her somewhere and he pulls out a bag and he says, open the bag, and in there's a teddy bear, and she just grabs it and hugs it, and she has pictures of her, like, you see pictures of her with this bear as a little girl, and
But
then
what else was in there, Amanda?
skimpy panties.
What a fucking asshole. What a scumbag.
And the way the documentary did it, it was brilliant, because immediately I'm like, I need to watch the second episode, because she's like, I opened up, there was something else in there. Fade to black.
Yep.
And he asked her what he thought of them, and she said he was doing everything by the book to groom me. Like,
yes,
he could have written a master class on grooming a young child.
Yep.
She eventually became the Fox family dedicated babysitter. One night after the kids went, like, he was leaving with his wife, the kids went to bed, he hands her a book to read called The Act of Marriage.
Is this a published book? Or was it like one of their stupid fucking booklets?
No, I don't think it was a wisdom booklet kind of thing, but
I gotta look it up.
Okay, you look it up while I keep talking.
What is it called? The Act of Marriage?
Marriage.
Just because I want to sick everyone listening to this. Oh, it's a book. Okay. You guys know what to do. Get to Amazon, leave a terrible review. Get there and do it.
Yes. And she said she read the book, and that was her sex education. Otherwise, she knew nothing. And within a few days of that, he raped her. And it then went on weekly in the church van for years. Okay. He literally, with like Faith Baptist Church written on this van, pulled her over to the side of the road and raped her in broad daylight.
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot.
And she said she felt like she had to go along with it to be loved by a father. And the problem is, you can only discuss your problems with your pastor. So we've got Pastor Goddard was the rule, and he tried to run his church in the way that Jack Hyles did. So let's talk a little bit now about Jack Hyles.
Oh, this motherfucker.
And, you know, of course, we talk about the money piece and how everyone has to give everybody this money and everything. So
and he's the one that they said was like a celebrity, right? Women were throwing their engagement rings in the in the basket.
He showed up and everyone wanted to be. It's like Bill Gothard. Everyone, like, he was like a rock star, creepy motherfucker. And so everyone in the IFB tried to emulate Hyles. Kathy's mom got suspicious of how close she was to Fox. Her mom went to Goddard. She met with him afterwards and tells him all about the abuse. So Kathy tells her pastor all about the abuse.
Right.
He asked her if she was pregnant. He had her go sit with his wife, his own wife, Tammy Goddard. And as soon as Kathy's mom left, Tammy ripped the shit out of Kathy.
For destroying the family.
For destroying the family. Yep. This is all her fault.
This is what I'm talking about. This is this internalized misogyny. Like, oh, this 7, how old was she? 15? This 15-year-old must be like taunting Paul Fox and like seducing Paul Fox. Like, are you fucking serious?
Meanwhile, like, she knows nothing about sex. She doesn't know what seduction even is.
No.
Even if she wanted to. She doesn't even know what this is to do it. Like, she knows nothing. So
no.
Tammy's being mean to her, and she's like, immediately she knew she'd made a mistake by saying anything.
Yeah.
And thus begins the cover-up of the abuse. Fox gets moved out of state to Jack Hyles' church, of course. And her parents are punished for her being raped,
of course,
by the church.
And then they're pissed off at her.
Right. And she said it confirmed everything she knew about her mom, that she knew that she was expendable and her mom didn't care.
She's crying at this point.
She's sobbing. She so awful.
Basically saying, I knew my mother didn't love me.
Yep. As soon as she let this all happen. She was made to write an apology letter to Paul Fox's wife.
Wow.
For what she did.
I don't know how you come back from something like this. The resilience of this woman. Like, how do you get over this?
I don't know. It's the ultimate betrayal.
Ugh. Jesus Christ.
Actually, the only thing I think could be more that I think is more of a betrayal to a child is a parent sexually abusing a child. This is like a nano centimeter something, tiny little thing.
I will disclose, and I talk about this a lot, that I was sexually assaulted when I was 12.
Okay.
It never occurred to me that my parents would not believe me. That never occurred to me at all.
That's good.
I could not imagine thinking my parents would blame me.
Right.
Let alone not believe me.
And then my whole family would be punished.
It's just heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking.
I mean, that is your basic job as a parent, is to protect your child, period. Not to cause further harm. It's ridiculous.
So, of course, Kathy then gets ostracized at school. She loses her friends. Everyone knows this happened. Everyone's being mean to her about it. Fox gets moved to this place called Hyles-Anderson College, which I'm sure
needs to be shut down immediately.
Sure, it's an esteemed institution of learning.
If anybody you come in contact with has a degree from that place, fucking rip it in half.
Yeah, it means nothing. So Kathy tried to silently carry her story, and the only guilt she has is that he raped others eventually. Like, that's where she eventually gets to.
Yeah.
She felt guilty at first, but the fact that this happened to other women and she feels guilty that she didn't stop him. She couldn't have stopped him.
Right.
She was in a system where she couldn't. But I understand that too, of feeling like, oh my God, if I had just done something.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Kathy's brother-in-law, her sister's husband, winds up taking over Paul Fox's job in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And then we meet his victims. April Avila and Rachel Peach.
And this is Victor Montiero?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Who's like the fun-loving youth pastor.
Right.
This sounds terrible to say, but I'm always very leery of youth pastors. And I shouldn't be, but it's because of shit like this. Exception, not the norm. But I'm always weird about stuff like that because of this.
Knew Kathy was treated differently, but no one knew why.
Yeah.
And Victor really used Kathy's abuse as a way to manipulate these women. You don't want what happened to her to happen to you. So you keep your mouth shut.
So Kathy Durbin is an outcast at this point because she is the whore who broke up Paul Fox's marriage.
Well, no, they're still married. Paul Fox is still married. You know,
of course. But and Victor comes along and he's like, "Hey, girls, I'm going to do this to you, and you don't want to come forward because you don't want to be the next Kathy Durbin."
Right.
Right. Am I summarizing this correct?
Sister-in-law. Okay. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. So he starts abusing April in 8th to 9th grade, and he abused her all through high school.
Yeah.
She, of course, never came forward. Rachel thought he was safe and fun. And she said something which I thought is a fascinating statement. Grooming is so fast and so slow all at the same time.
Yeah, I know. How about that?
Yeah. And Rachel says he was her first everything.
Ugh.
Everything. What did this man do to this child? It's actually making me nauseous.
I know.
Victor tells Rachel that Kathy had an affair. He told April the same story. So that's the story they're being fed of why no one likes Kathy, because she had an affair.
Yeah, at 15.
At 15.
She was having an affair. Yeah.
And Rachel also wound up going to Hyles-Anderson College to get away. And they both never planned on coming out about this.
Mm-mm.
These two women didn't know each other. I mean, they knew each other, like they were in the same church, but they were like 5 or 6 years apart.
Yeah.
So they weren't friends.
Right.
But they were in the same community. And then we meet this guy real quickly, this guy, Jack Shapp. And there's this sermon.
This part, Jack Shapp. Okay.
Oh, wait, you'll remember in a second. He's talking about how you spare the rod, and he's like whittling this stick, and then all of a sudden starts jerking off this stick.
Oh, yeah, and he's going on and on about the stick.
Yes. I'm like, what the?
It was weird. Well, because I think it was Rachel or April, one of them said,
April.
Everything is sexual.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everything. It's weird. Yeah.
Right. Because that's what happens when you control people's
sexual
sexuality.
Culture. Yeah.
And she said once she saw that the church protected Jack, April knew she needed to speak out. Like, she couldn't do anything. She connects with Rachel. They talked about their experiences. Because of Kathy, they knew what would happen if they came forward. April eventually goes to the police. They're adults at this point. And it was outside the statute of limitations.
Ugh, that fucking statute of
Right.
limitations.
Victor then texted Rachel and said he knew who talked, and he said it was another girl. So now April knows there's more.
Yes, that was so fascinating.
Uh-huh.
So Victor's basically like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you went to the police."
No, he didn't say you go to the police. Someone went to the police.
Oh,
Betty,
and I bet you it's like Joanne. And
right.
she's like, "Joanne?
Who the fuck's Joanne?
Okay.
Like,
Yep.
you did this to Joanne too?"
Yep.
And April said it was a girl who was much younger, and they realized they could stop it if they began to speak out.
Mm-hmm.
Rachel then gets on this like recorded line. Basically, it's like not entrapment, but like it's you ask open-ended questions to see if you'll get the person to talk, and he spilled everything.
Because he's not super bright upstairs. I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah. And what they realize is that Bruce Goddard is the common person who covered up all this abuse across all of these generations. We meet Larissa Newman.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron also abused her.
Mm-hmm.
And a deacon walked in while she was being molested.
And probably turned around and walked out.
He told John Jenkins, who did nothing.
Oh, he did tell somebody. Okay, I forgot that part.
But through the Facebook group, they realized that John Jenkins is the common denominator in their, like, there's a couple of these big pastors.
Full disclosure, I only watched the first 2 episodes once because I literally could not watch them again.
It's okay. That's why when we were talking about this and we were talking about how to do the notes, I'm like, I'm not going to make you watch this again.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Mm-hmm. And so this Facebook group becomes what's called the blind eye movement.
Which I love. I love
too.
Mm-hmm.
And these folks went to confront John Jenkins, and nothing, of course, happens. More and more people start coming out. Shortly, he moves away.
Yes.
And they tried to form a church, or they tried to inform a church that he was rumored being sent to. Like, they thought he was going to South Carolina.
Somewhere in the South, right, yes.
South Carolina. Yes. So they start doing all this stuff online. They do, like, reviews of the church he's coming from, saying all this. Like, they're trying to do everything they can to warn these people.
Yeah.
And eventually, like, the way they say it, they found a way around the statute of limitations. But I think the laws changed.
Mm-hmm.
And against Paul Fox, the DA was going to press charges. And Kathy says she finally felt worthy of justice.
Yeah.
Wow. And he pleads guilty to 2 felonies. Kathy says she'll go to the sentencing. And that's where we end part 1 and episodes 1 and 2.
Okay, and that's going to end part 1 of our coverage.
Because we're going to split this into 2.
Yep, we're going to split this into 2. So guys, if you're interested in hearing what I call the justice arc, stay tuned for our next episode. I'll drop them at the same time. So just scoot over to episode 2 and listen there. Okay, Amanda, thank you, and I'll see you again soon.
Take care, everyone.